All right, guys, so first things first, names and badge numbers.
I give you my ID.
I'm just kidding. I already have the sign-in sheet, so.
Sean does not run his channel that way. Sean is cordial, polite, addresses everybody by their rank. And even with that, what he has exposed from bad behavior and police really opened my eyes.
So for people that subscribe to my channel, because I got to give them all the credit, because without them I wouldn't do what I do. You know, they have my back. They write emails. They make phone calls. They, you know, they believe in me. They believe in the United States Constitution. They believe in what I'm doing, and they give me strength. I've never seen a First Amendment auditor stand in a police department in a restricted area like this.
Without handcuffs on.
Exactly, without handcuffs on.
Ready? So the information in this presentation is not legal advice and is not intended to be legal advice. It is intended to provide a general legal information. It does not cover all issues related to the topics discussed. The specific facts that apply to your matter may make the outcome different than you might anticipate based on the material presented. Please consult with your attorney and with regard to specific issues. In addition to that, everything stated in this presentation is the opinion of the person speaking. And I do not speak to cops without my attorney present. So Ursula Shugart is here, Prosecutor Shugart. And then the strange man over there against the wall, his name is Sean Paul Reyes. Sean Paul Reyes runs a YouTube channel, Long Island Audit. You guys familiar with First Amendment audits? How many subscribers?
350,000 total.
Nice job. So this is kind of what led us to here a little bit was on February 2nd, Sergeant Banic is running traffic where he's got a roadblock at North Main and Myron because when that pole got sheared downtown. And I'm off duty and I'm a passenger in a vehicle and I see him, so I pull out my phone and I start yelling, "Photography's not a crime." 9 days later, Long Island Audit shows up in my Google feed. That's not a coincidence, I'm sure. So, First Amendment audits involves a photographer filming from public space. It is often categorized by its practitioners, known as auditors, as activism and citizen journalism that tests the constitutional rights, in particular to the right to photograph and video record in public space. Now, the past experience that I had, from like 10 years ago, First Amendment auditors were antagonistic to police. They would curse at you, try to provoke an emotional response so that you would fail, Sean does not run his channel that way. Sean is cordial, polite, addresses everybody by their rank. And even with that, what he has exposed from bad behavior and police really opened my eyes, because I only knew what I get to experience with you guys. And we don't have those issues like what he's exposing, but I think it's important that we all see it. And that we also understand from his personal experience why he does it and how that affects him. So a good cop's worst enemy is a bad cop.
We're going to arrest you for giving certification because I cannot let you walk away from me.
You'll be making a
suspicious act of videotaping military installations.
What is the crime?
And you have no legitimate reason to be here.
I don't need a legitimate reason to be in public places. You need to learn the law, sir.
The crime is obstructing government administration.
No, do it. You're going to get fired, sir.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
You give me a different
Okay.
Your obligation
is to uphold the Constitution, sir. You're going to get a complaint, sir.
After that.
You can't.
I'm open to watching.
Learn the law! Learn the law! No, why would you say that? Well, I have a history with that flag that you're wearing on your mask, and it's not too good of a history, but I'm not gonna judge you based off of that flag. Because it sets you apart from, your job is to protect and serve the public. Your job is not to band together with your buddies and make a desecration of the flag, and, you know, that's no different than a gang flag. Reasonable, articulable. Did you learn that in training, or no? Okay. So reasonable, you don't use that over here?
We don't use that phrase.
I mean, every place, reasonable, articulable suspicion.
I never heard those two words used together.
Wow, that's kind of scary. No,
I'm just trying to tell you, bro.
I don't think that's it.
Walk over here.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not allowed to be over here.
Yeah, no, I understand, but what I'm telling you is you can't just make an area restricted. It has to be restricted already. This is not a restricted area
No,
here.
you're sadly mistaken, pal.
Okay.
You're sadly mistaken.
Okay, why don't we get a supervisor out here?
Why don't we walk over here where you're allowed to be?
I'm
We can
gonna-
have an issue.
Oh, what's the issue? Is that a threat?
No.
Reasonable, articulable suspicion. You said you didn't know what that was.
No. As far as how we conduct business, we don't conduct business.
Well, I'm gonna teach you something. In order to detain somebody, you need reasonable, articulable suspicion. That's not speaking the way I do.
Like you just said, everybody's different.
So when you detain somebody, what's your burden of proof? What do you have? What do you do? You just go to random people and say you're detained?
You don't get to sit here and argue, okay? You guys are all set. All right. You guys are
So you stand here with your cell phone
I thought you were busy. I thought you were
I
busy.
am. I am busy.
So you should get to work
on. I should get to work, is that what you're telling
if
me?
you're busy.
You're gonna have a problem between you and I? You're gonna have
His body camera's on. His body camera's on stop. He has his body camera on stop.
I don't care, right?
I'm gonna.
This is private property,
I'm not doing
okay?
anything.
You're not going to
I
video
will
next me and
I'll
have
get rid of it. I'll get rid
I'm
of
gonna
it.
tell you what right now, I'm not the one, okay? I gave you the information
trying
you
to make
needed,
it fit.
and I gave you your outlet.
I
You
told
did in
you.
your
I
outlet.
said I
No,
was
you wanted to
told.
stand there and hold your cell phone in my face
I
is
wasn't
what
in
you
your
wanted to
face.
do. Yes,
I
you
wasn't in
do.
your
Take your
face.
cell phone and go and make your complaint, okay?
Okay. Can I grab my cell phone?
I'll get it for you.
Where's your card? Where's your card? Where's your card?
That's 30 feet. We're in.
I know, but where's your card?
You were about to arrest me, man, for real?
Can I get your names and badge numbers?
Sure, can I have your ID, please?
No, you can't.
Excuse me.
Have you not heard that before? Tibbets.
Officer Tibbets.
Tibbets. They're a little bit hostile. I can see the tyrant in you, Utter. You're a real tyrant. I can see it in your eyes.
In law enforcement experience,
Yeah.
I'm still here, but I'm a tyrant.
You are.
Because if I was a tyrant, I'd be long gone.
This is not gonna end well with you, you know that.
Okay, we'll see.
No,
We'll
I'm
see.
telling you.
New tonight, a Danbury police officer has been suspended for 8 days. Ken Utter was caught on body camera video making offensive statements to a man filming at a public library. The News Times reports Utter told Sean Paul Reyes he would have been dead 20 years ago. Utter has to go through remedial training and additional training on body cameras. 3 other officers also reportedly violating department policy.
We dealt with the library yesterday, and they escorted him out of the library, which they technically really shouldn't have done, but, you know what I mean? He doesn't, that's a problem with the kid, he doesn't cause a problem.
Why be so hostile with
He's
him?
not, that's the thing, he's not hostile, he's just difficult to do. He doesn't raise his voice, he's a polite kid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he's not gonna come in here and start kicking shit around, which I wish he did, because then we'd lock him up.
Right,
But he
yeah.
doesn't do that.
Officer Mike Farrell moved in.
No, don't turn around. Your hands behind your back. So your hands, you committed the crime today, and I go away and help. Isn't that just?
Any of that reasonable? Think 8 days was enough for what Utter said? You'd be dead 20 years ago? Yes? No?
That should be a rough career ending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. The whole channel he has got good interactions too. It's not just one-sided. He puts good ones up. But the problem is that they're rare. This is commonplace where these cops are acting this way, making us look bad. And I think that their conduct is partly why good cops get hurt. And seeing all that, and I'm not blind that law enforcement is not perfect. They're not. They make mistakes, sometimes by accident, and sometimes on purpose. But this is a sheer competence and willful unwanted. And it's making us all look bad. And it moved me to reach out to him and see if he would come speak to us. And then this department, the men and women of this department, will lead the rest of them by example. The whole country. But I think we can do that. So that's kind of why we're here today, to examine this and show others.
We're gonna arrest you for giving to.
So a tyrant, a cruel and oppressive ruler, tyranny, cruel, unreasonable, or arbitrary use of power or control. We just saw that in the video, right? I mean, they define themselves. I didn't. So how a revised code defines us in this department as a member of an organized police department of any municipal corporation. That's us. And they specifically call us a peace officer. You know, we use peace officer, law enforcement officer, police officer, cop, all interchangeably. But I think what's important to notice is that they call us a peace officer, which would imply de-escalation, right? So strengthening our foundation, I did not know what to call this class, because we kind of touch around on all kinds of stuff. And I think it was like late in the afternoon yesterday, Kelly named it strengthening the foundation, because we're strengthening our foundation by looking at some law and some case law, so we make sure that we have a better understanding of what's going on, and also building that community, that relationship with citizens. You know, he's from Long Island, but he's no less of a citizen than a citizen of Auburn, right? He has every right to be here. So think about these things over the course of what we talk about today, but your purpose for becoming a peace officer, the oath of office that you took, and the code of ethics. I'm not reading the whole thing, just so you know. But as a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against abuse or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice. If we escalate, we're not doing that, for sure. I have a 6-video montage of Gordon Graham from Lexipol. So we'll talk in between.
Today's tip is mostly for my cop friends, but it also applies to all government employees. Today's tip is about something that has been called the First Amendment audit. Now, where's Graham going with this? I never heard about any First Amendment audits. Well, here's a newsflash for you. We have all seen videos online of cops saying and doing things they shouldn't. Unprofessional things, rude things, stupid things, and sadly, even illegal things. The idea of people video recording police officers, police buildings, and other public spaces is nothing new. And people have been trying to bait or goad police officers into acting unprofessionally long before video cameras were ever invented. In the last few years, a variation of this seems to be increasing in popularity. It's called the First Amendment audit. And if you have not yet been audited, you've got a plan. This is going to happen to you. Basically, a person, or more often a group of people, will enter a public building while openly video recording. Many times the camera person will also be narrating. They will engage in discussion or banter with employees and with police officers who respond. Now, as a proud citizen of this great nation, I have tremendous respect for people who sincerely desire to hold their government accountable. Frankly, we should welcome this idea. And we all know that the vast majority of law enforcement personnel around this country are up to the test. But sadly, unfortunately, videos of officers passing and doing everything right do not go viral on the internet. Many of these folks seem to pre-plan their words and actions. It's probably safe to say that at least some of them expect and even hope for a certain response. Some may be trying to bait you into an argument. Some may be openly disrespectful, rude, and condescending. It doesn't matter if you think you're being recorded or not. Be polite, be friendly, be a professional. Be helpful. Do not engage in debate or argument. You can't win this. You might give a stellar speech, well-founded in law, fact, and logic, but there really is no winning an argument in this setting. The public's right to record in public spaces is guaranteed by the First Amendment. When you took your oath, you swore to uphold the Constitution, and this includes the First Amendment. Be vigilant in protecting this important right. Look forward to your next opportunity to pass an audit with flying colors.
Interfering with civil rights, ORC. No public servant under the color of the public servant's office, employment, or authority shall knowingly deprive or conspire or attempt to deprive any person of a constitutional right or statutory right. Misdemeanor 1. This is the U.S. code that they could file a complaint under, and then the FBI should be coming to investigate you. This will speak to the IA report from Connecticut. The kiss of death is lying. You get caught lying, that's it. You're done. So Garner.
Here at least.
Huh?
Here.
Yeah, should be everywhere. But here, you're done. Garner v. Civil Service Commission of Metropolitan Government of Nashville. Untruthful about reason for being late for work. Officer was late for work, told the supervisor that traffic was heavy, and in fact he got traffic stopped. They fired him. Arbitrator gave him the job back. They appealed it, and it was overturned, so he lost his job just for that. And then Brady versus Maryland, the state must produce exculpatory evidence, so any evidence that would exclude. Giglio versus United States is reference to an incredible witness, which would be the lying cop, that the Brady, then she would have to tell the defense that you're a liar if you're caught lying. And then you can't testify. So you became useless for law enforcement. That would be the end of my presentation.
First things first, names and badge numbers.
I give you my ID.
I'm just kidding. I already have the sign-in sheet, so. All right. As you all know, my name's Sean Paul Reyes. I'm aka Long Island Audit. I run a Facebook page, YouTube page, TikTok, whatever. All of it combined, you know, over 400,000 people now if I add TikTok in there. A lot of people are interested in my videos and, you know, the content that I bring them. And my whole purpose behind my videos, behind my channel, and I say in each one of my videos before I start, is to peacefully exercise my First Amendment right to film in public and publicly accessible areas, as well as promote transparency and accountability within our government, and to ensure that our public servants and public officials respect our rights and treat us with respect. Every video that I do, I say that right before I start, just so not only, you know, for the video and to remind everybody what the purpose is, but to remind myself, right? Remind myself, what is the purpose of this video? You know, a lot of the times I don't just go in and just record. I do FOIA requests, I do open records requests for transparency, see how much the government officials are getting paid. I do open records requests for credit card statements. Any type of publicly accessible documents, I like to look at them and compare them to, you know, how much is the average citizen in the city getting paid versus the public servant. It's all for me about transparency and accountability of our government, which I don't think any reasonable person should have a problem with. If you're just a reasonable person, you shouldn't have a problem with, you know, just a little transparency and accountability with your government.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
What are the stats for your county?
So the stats for my county and Suffolk County, I was born and raised on Long Island. I know I probably should have came up with a better name, you know, it's very obvious, Long Island Audit. But, you know, the stats for my county, Suffolk County, Long Island, they range from, you know, as low as probably $120,000 a year for a law enforcement officer. The highest paid law enforcement officer is a police officer, not a sergeant, a regular police officer, and he made $700,000 in 2020. So,
holy crap!
Yeah, so, you know, if you guys would like to apply, you guys seem like, you know, great officers, so I would love to have you in my county. You're gonna make some good money. You might need an Italian last name to get in though. Okay.
She took a new one, but she got one now.
So, yeah, an absurd amount of money in my county. We pay a lot of taxes. You know, I own my home and pay an absurd amount in property taxes. I think the average property tax is around $10,000 a year. All the way up to, if you're living in the Hamptons or an area like that, you could be paying $100,000 a year. So it's something, you know, that's a lot of money. So, and it's not even that dangerous of a county, but they get paid a lot of money. You know, that he's just a regular police officer that gets that 700,000. There's police officers 400, 300. You know, to put that in perspective, the President of the United States makes $400,000 a year. So, you know, I don't know how it's possible, but it definitely is. Just a quick reminder for the disclaimer he had. Nothing I say is legal advice for anybody watching the video of this. It's not legal advice. You know, I'm an attorney, didn't go to law school, just an informed citizen on my rights, and you know, don't listen to me. Just my opinions on things. Also wanted to thank the Safety Director, Detective Banic, and the Chief for inviting me here. This is something that I have never seen before. A First Amendment auditor at a police department, you know, doing a guest speaking. I've watched First Amendment audits for a very long time, even before I got started, a little over a year and a half ago. And I have never seen a First Amendment auditor stand in a police department in a restricted area like this.
Without handcuffs on.
Exactly, without handcuffs on. My wrist still hurt a little bit from 3 days ago, so I'm glad they're healing up.
Yeah, Monday we were talking, because the city was down in Hagerstown, West Virginia, and I said, please, whatever you do, don't get arrested. I need you here on Friday. He said, oh no, that's not the intent. Wednesday he's picked up and locked up.
Yep.
Can't follow law
As
order.
soon as those bracelets went on my wrist, I thought of Sergeant Banic here. I was like, oh man. First, I was kind of mad at him because I'm like, he jinxed me. I hadn't been arrested in a long time before that, so I was like, wow, you know, it's never the goal to get arrested. No one wants to have their freedom taken from them for any reason. But sometimes in the pursuit of freedom and exposing tyranny, you have to be arrested. It's just part of what's going on. It's part of what has to happen to, you know, go into a court system and change the law and uphold the law. And even then, sometimes, as I'll show you this video, even then, sometimes it's just not good enough. So like I said, I was raised on Long Island, New York. Started watching First Amendment audits a while ago, probably 10 years ago. You know, I always was just very fascinated of the psychology of it. You know, why would people get so upset over a camera? You know, there's cameras in this room right now, right? But I bet, and you know, in the class before this, you know, everybody was like, oh, there's a lot of cameras in here, right? But no one ever said anything about that camera up there watching you guys all the time in the back. You know, there's cameras all over, right? There's cameras in private businesses all over the place, city halls, administrative buildings. There's cameras everywhere watching our every move. And those are public record that anybody can get the footage from. You know, so I always thought, like, what makes a man holding a camera outwardly, what makes that so offensive to people or scare people more than anything else? Especially a polite man like me. I'm very polite. I never really understood it. So that's why I decided, you know, I was a logistics director for a manufacturing company before I started First Amendment auditing full time. I was furloughed from the pandemic, bored out of my mind, and I said, you know what, let me go exercise my rights. Let me see, I've never seen it done in my, you know, area before, or it wasn't really being done at that time in the Northeast period. So I went to my local police department headquarters, and I was filming outside, didn't even make it inside. I was filming outside, and I was filming, they have military vehicles, they had police cruisers, a whole bunch, different types. And I was filming them, and 3 plainclothes officers came out and immediately grabbed me, circled me in, demanding ID, backing away. They backed me into a corner, and this is my first audit ever, and I'm like being circled in like I'm being circled by, you know, lions, and I didn't know what was going on. My heart's racing, and I'm just spitting out things that I heard on front. I don't consent to searches and seizures. You know, I'm filming in public. I have the right to film in public. What are you doing? Stop! Like, I'm basically just regurgitating everything I've heard, and hopefully something sticks. You know, I'm a lot calmer now, but I was just like, what are you doing? You know, no searches, no seizures. I don't know how many times I might have said that, but you know, they circled me around, and as I turned around, I saw somebody make like a furtive movement, and I was like, I saw one of the officers, like, I'm like, oh man, like, this is not gonna end well for me. I ended up leaving that situation without being arrested, but what happened that day was, maybe if that never happened, maybe I wouldn't be standing in front of you today. But because it happened, it ignited a fire inside of me to want to expose tyrants like that. They were tyrants. There was no other word. You can feel the evil of people. You guys are law enforcement. I'm sure you guys deal with evil people all the time, right? So you can feel it. There's certain situations where an officer will walk in, and I can feel it, and I can see it in their eyes. I can see, you know, this is not gonna end well for me. That's how I felt on Tuesday, and look what happened. You know, should have listened to Detective Banic here. Definitely not a good idea.
What's amazing too, Sean, is when you watch, I've watched every video except for 2.
Did you hit the like button?
I usually don't.
Oh, man.
I'm too busy clicking forward to the next one.
Okay.
He was on duty, he couldn't like it.
Conflict of
But,
interest.
you know, after watching, and on his channel and other channels that I've watched, and there's probably like 5 of them that I've watched, you know, on a regular basis, but you can see that show through, that aggression in certain cops, and you know immediately. Like when Sergeant Fahey come out, by then I could see it ahead of time, and as soon as he came out of that door, I said, uh-oh. I knew what was gonna happen. I knew whatever was gonna happen wasn't good, but you could see it.
Yeah, so, you know, it ignited fire in me to expose tyrants everywhere, and I started traveling around my county, you know, running into the same sort of situations, demanding ID without any lawful reason, you know, putting their hands on me, just treating me like a piece of garbage. And, you know, I uploaded that first video to TikTok. That's how it all started. Went to sleep, woke up, my wife wakes me up and she says, you know, the video has 200,000 views. And I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And then, you know, a day later it had 4 million views. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I started a YouTube channel, and I started uploading longer format videos there. And, you know, I started gaining subscribers and views and everything. And I'm like, wow, people are interested in what I'm doing here. Who would think? You know, I would never think that. But, you know, if you would have told me 2 years ago I would be a First Amendment auditor speaking at a police station, I would have never believed you. First of all, I've been like a First Amendment auditor. I wouldn't have done that. Speaking at a police station as a First Amendment auditor, impossible. It's never happened. I've watched all First Amendment audit videos. It's never happened before. I'm friends with a lot of First Amendment auditors. You know, I don't do audits with them because I like to control the situation, right? I like to make sure that I can only control myself. So it's bad enough that I have to deal with, you know, the public, the law enforcement that may have, you know, ulterior motives and want to escalate a situation. But if I have, you know, if I'm going in there with 3, 4 people, I feel like that's already escalating the situation, and I can't control what they're going to say or do. So I like to go alone. Maybe it's to my detriment, but so First Amendment audit to me is, like I said, every time I start my video, transparency and accountability, just peacefully exercising my rights. And, you know, the First Amendment grants us freedom of press, freedom of expression, and freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion. You know, the First Amendment is not just about recording, right? The recording aspect is news gathering, which is why every time a law enforcement officer comes up to me, I don't say, mind your business. I don't do any of that. I'm an independent journalist gathering content for a story. And the next question I come out of the mouth, where's your credentials? So I want to make this clear. There is no set of credentials. The federal government does not issue credentials. I can make credentials on this paper right here with crayon. I mean, that would probably be suffice. There is no government agencies that issues press credentials. You can get them from CNN, you know, I could make one, sure, but what valid, you know, there's no authority behind it. The only authority you need is the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, which grants everyone the right of freedom of press and news gathering. So the next question they ask is, what's your story about? You know, I'd never tell them what the story is about because I don't want to influence how the story is going to play out. I don't want them to act differently. There's a reason why I don't use, you know, big cameras that would make me look more official. You know, I just use a phone. It's to come off as a citizen journalist, right? That anybody can pick up the phone, pick up a camera phone, and record the police or record the government officials to see, you know, what they're doing for transparency purposes. The people, you know, not everybody can get one of those big cameras or anything. So freedom of press is very important. And a lot of, you know, you have the right to film in public. And a lot of people who are against the First Amendment and First Amendment auditing in general, they like to use there's a public forum doctrine, which means there's three different distinctions. There's traditionally public forums, which would be parks and sidewalks. That's where our rights are the strongest. On a sidewalk, in parks, you can protest, you can hold signs, right? There's limited public forums. Limited public forums would be police station. We're in a limited public forum right now. It's public property, but it's a limited public forum, as well as libraries, post offices, what else do I have here? City hall, town hall, village hall, all those are limited public forums. But the public forum doctrine applies to freedom of expression and freedom of speech activities. For example, and it limits that right with reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions, as you saw in Detective Banic's presentation. And I agree with that, because if 40 people came into your lobby here and wanted to, you know, shout F the police, how is everything ever gonna get done? Or if you go into a library and, you know, people are screaming and, you know, exercising their freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, and they're disturbing the business and disturbing the peace, obviously, you know, there's a purpose to a library. That's not the purpose of a library. So I can understand that, and I agree with that. But what people don't understand is that in the case law here, PG Publishing versus Eichel, the Third Circuit Court ruled that freedom of press activities are distinct from freedom of expression activities. For example, it's not governed by the public forum doctrine, the traditionally limited and non-public forum, which I didn't mention. A non-public forum, this would be a non-public forum, this area, because this is not open to the public. The public can't get here in a publicly accessible way. For example, another non-public forum would be a school. You can't just walk into a school and have a right to be in a school. A jail, you can't just go into jail. I mean, I do it all the time, but you can't just walk in. So freedom of press, and I never understood why, you know, some prosecutors and some people that I like to refer to as bootlickers, they like to say that, you know, it's being, you know, covered by public forum doctrine, because I'm like, what is it, you know, how does quietly recording news gathering, you know, affect the business? How does that affect the business of, you know, the library or anything else? So in PG Publishing v. Eichel, the court states that it shouldn't be governed by public forum doctrine, but by the right of access. So they basically said that the freedom of the press does not have any more access than the public. They don't get any special privileges, the press. But they also have the same exact right as the public. Anywhere the public is permitted, the press is permitted. So, you know, I do city halls, I do town halls, police department lobbies. If I am generally allowed to be there, I'm allowed to be there and news gather and record. Because what's the difference? What if I had a button on that was secretly recording? I had sunglasses that were recording. Would people freak out that I was recording? No. But because I'm openly recording, it's a problem. Again, you can't just say that, you can't put a blanket recording on, a ban on recording peacefully unless you have a reasonable, reason. Why, there is no, I cannot think, I rack my brain, I can't think of a reasonable reason. There's people like to say, especially law enforcement officers say this, as well as, members of the public, that, I have privacy. Again, there's cameras all over the world. There is no the reason why you're allowed to put these cameras, you're allowed to be and everything, if there was privacy, you wouldn't be allowed to. But the reason that you can is because there's no expectation of privacy in public. You're in public. You want privacy, go to your house. And you have, in your house or apartment, you have an expectation of privacy. So again, if the normal general public can be in the building, can be on the property, so can the press, and so I can use it for news gathering purposes. As long as I'm not committing any other crimes in addition, if I'm being, disorderly, or if, any crime I'll be breaking, any law I'll be breaking, I can see being trespassed from the building in order to keep the peace, in order to allow the business to flow naturally, not interrupt any business. So, I want to show you guys this video.
Have a great day.
You too.
Nice talking to you.
You as well.
Should have been over.
You're all set here.
Should have been done.
Excuse me?
Are you all set here?
Well, yeah, there's nothing else obviously you can help me out with at this
Okay,
point.
so you're all set. So you're gonna go to IA right now, correct?
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
there.
all right.
I'm gonna be going.
Okay.
I'm gonna be going.
Okay. So you're gonna stand here with your cell phone on?
I thought you were busy. I thought you were
I
busy.
am. I am busy.
You're gonna stand here with your cell phone out. That's very important when we read the internal affairs report.
So you should get to work.
I should get to work. Is that what you're telling
If
me?
you're busy.
Grab your money.
I don't care, right? This is private property, okay? You're not going to videotape me and I'm mad at you. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not the one, okay? I gave you the information you needed, and I gave you your outlet. You're giving your outlet. No, you want to stand there and hold your cell phone in my face with what you wanted to do. Yes, you do. Take your cell phone and go and make your complaint, okay? Okay.
Can I grab my cell
Stay right
phone?
here. I'll get it for you. Alright. Where's your card? Where's your card? Where's your card?
I'm gonna go, man. I'm going.
I know, but where's your card?
Why are you stealing my card then? You were about to arrest me, man, for real?
He was gonna arrest me for interfering with my own assault. I was interfering. I should have just, dropped to the floor or something, made it easier.
Your body camera on?
Yeah, my body camera is on, buddy. I'm Trooper Costello, 1139. Yep.
Wow.
Listen, with the
You
situation
were gonna arrest me for real?
we're going to detain you.
Detective Banic is very upset when he was very upset when he read this internal affairs complaint.
This is from Sergeant Fahey's written statement. I don't want to read the whole. As I stood at the front door waiting for him to leave. At one point, he told me I should go back to work. As he put the camera closer to my face, I didn't see that, did you? I told him that he and I were going to have a problem. Then I reached up to move his hand away. Through my training and experience as a law enforcement officer, I know that cell phones can be altered and modified to be used as tasers or a firearm. Fictional crap, in my opinion.
Camera of mass destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is it though? Is it a cell phone? He said it was a cell phone.
He called it a cell phone.
Or is it a taser?
How many, did you go back and see how many times he called it a cell phone?
At least a couple.
Every time.
I think it was like 3 or 4 times.
He didn't call it anything else other than a cell
Don't
phone.
call it a taser. Is that a taser? If you thought it was a taser, why wouldn't he say, hey, is that a taser? Put that down.
Right.
Why are you grabbing?
That would have been more credible.
Creative writing. It's after the fact.
And you are brave. I'm uncomfortable dealing with cops. I don't know sometimes.
Yeah. No, that
You're a pretty
situation.
brave guy.
that situation was, I just wanted to get out of there. I didn't know what was gonna happen, because I didn't think that a state trooper would be dumb enough to assault me and break my
Pissed him
property
off and
and
he
let
told
me
me to
go.
get back to work.
If you're busy, I told him if you're busy, he said he was so busy.
Back to work.
Why wouldn't he just go inside? That's
That's
all he had to
crazy.
do. Yeah, and I was, listen, I didn't know what he was capable of in the moment. I just wanted to get out of there. Because I didn't think a state police officer would be dumb enough to assault a man in broad daylight on camera, break his camera phone, and let him walk away without any charges. I thought he would at least like just jumped on me and like, stop resisting, he punched me. Have his buddy punch him in the eye one time or something and get me felony
I
charges.
should have read this part too in the first class, when he says, yeah, well, up here it says 5 inches away from the sergeant's face. You were nowhere near that.
That was what they've done independent witnesses that said that too, independent liars.
This part says, at that point, the male was escorted away from the building and back to the center island in the front parking lot. As he was walking backwards,
Escorted backwards.
Yeah, I was just like walking backwards, skipping.
I was holding onto the bottom portion of his shirt to ensure he didn't trip over the curb or lose his balance and fall backwards. On his YouTube channel, the male describes being violently pushed backwards. But as seen on the body-worn camera footage, this never happened. The male and I spoke for a minute, and then I went and picked up his phone and handed from the mulch. It sounds very innocuous, like nothing. Like if you didn't see the video, you would think nothing happened.
Well, the other guy got his phone, not him.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy to me that they can tell these kind of lies, and there's video.
And that was the point of the last panel of the PowerPoint, was that guy got fired for some minor lie, and then this guy's still employed after that.
I really do hope that this does something, you know?
Yep.
Little bits of progress, you know, is something. If my channel, my videos, and my influence, and my platform, and, you know, the people that subscribe to my channel, because I got to give them all the credit, because without them, I wouldn't do what I do. You know, they have my back. They write emails. They make phone calls. They, you know, they believe in me. They believe in the United States Constitution. They believe in what I'm doing, and they give me strength. So, if I could just make a little bit of change, those signs were taken down. The ones I was charged with, those signs were taken down by the mayor in a protest. That's a little bit of change, and they're still not there today. I went back. That's a little bit, you know. You got some signs taken down, no big deal. That's something, you know. Hopefully we can hold, you know, Officer Auditor said 20 years ago I'd be dead. You got 8 days. I mean, something, you know. It's never gonna be perfect, but hopefully this here will help shine a light on, listen, we can all come together and we don't have to hate each other. There is no reason, right? I met you all today. You met me today. It's really bad to go in with preconceived notions that, you know, I was arrested 3 days ago by a police officer. Should I be like, you know what? I should have just, yeah, I'm not doing this. Man, F the police. I'm not doing this no more. Forget them. You know, they're all the same. You know, you hear stories about First Amendment auditors or, you know, just badgering people and doing those kinds of things. That's not me, right? At least I would hope that you'd know that after watching videos and meeting me and talking to me, you know that that's not me, that's not what I want to do. So, thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, Sean. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.